So my name is Bharon Hoag. I'm the Executive Director of OneChiropractic, and I'm super excited about this series that we're going to be put together. And to be honest with you, Dr. Barwell and I were just talking. We have absolutely no idea if this is going to be seven slides or presentations, or if this is going to turn into 100. But that's the nature of what we're trying to do, is to create a discussion around neurologically based chiropractic. And Dr. Barwell, thank you so much for taking the time and your commitment. I mean, what are you going on? 25, 30 years of you hitting your head against the subluxation wall, if you will, trying to break through to explain this. Is that accurate about the time span?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting journey, a journey that wasn't well received when I started this, but right now everybody's sort of jumping on the bandwagon. So I guess the message has something worthwhile.
Yeah. And it is. And I think, as you and I both know, God has perfect timing, and our timing is oftentimes rushing his. So for whatever the sake, I'm glad you never gave up. I'm glad that you kept pounding the wall. And although there are some other people that are getting some of the limelight in today's world, this really all started back with a lot of your persistence. So this is my decision to call you this, but I'm calling you the godfather of neurological based chiropractic, because you're the first person that I found that's still doing the grunt work on the ground. And you're not getting all the accolades maybe, but that wasn't ever your goal anyway. Your goal was to try to make sure our profession understood its inheritance and its roots from really the way it was intended, which is interesting to me, because since I've met you, now when I go back and read some of Didi's work, and I go back and I read some of Stevenson's, and I start reading some of this stuff, I'm thinking, you know what? This is what they were talking about. It isn't the way we've, interpreted it all these years. It's really more about this brain and the recovery and the adaptability of the brain. And it's just so awesome. So for me personally, thank you for reinstating a love in me for this profession. I never stopped loving it, but you've given me so much more of a basis for my passion than what I've had, in all my years before. So I just personally want to thank you for who you are and what you've done.
You're more than welcome, because it's a journey and a task of love and respect for chiropractic that I've been involved with for now. It's 55 years since my graduation, but I was involved with it for about 4 years prior to that, where I was going to chiropractic meetings by the fellow that sponsored me this. So I've gone through a wide range of chiropractic and the changes in chiropractic, and not always for the best, even though that we moved in that direction thinking we were doing the right stuff, and then found out that we walked into a trap of our own making.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what this series is about. So this first video, for those of you that are subscribing to this series of classes, I guess, or lack of a better term, we want to break this down and make it as elementary as we can. I will say my ultimate goal is to try to change the conversation in the profession. What we've been dealing with for about 124 years is the kind of Hatfield and McCoy argument over straights and mixers and evidence-based versus philosophical, and the chiropractic and chiropractors and all this other kind of stuff. And all it's done is really cause a separation of our own profession. And we're not big enough really to divide yet. So for us to be fighting internally the way we have, it's been really very non-productive. And we have a healthcare that's in a current space where it's looking for answers. It's finally breaking down the walls of bigotry, and it's starting to be receptive to things, but yet we're still fighting amongst ourselves over who we are, and we're not answering that call that healthcare in the world has. And so this thing of neurological based chiropractic and the work that you've done, to me, it brings it together. It really changes the conversation, and it brings evidence, which, from that side of the spectrum, and it brings philosophy, and it kind of throws them together, saying they've always been together. It's just we, as man's brain, and trying to comprehend what's going on around us, we've had to pull them apart in order to understand them. And that's what I think this does, is it brings it together. So this series really is designed to, on a very simple, small level, chunk away at this topic so that people can understand it without them backing up and saying you're destroying everything I've ever known to be true, which I'm sure you've run into in your time teaching this stuff.
Yeah, and unfortunately when that happens, the door gets closed, instead of the door saying, well, what are you talking about? How does this all fit together? Part of the problem with this is that we have to understand that the founders were working with the knowledge of the human body over 100 years ago, which was extremely limited. The science wasn't there. They did not have the science. They had an idea of what was going on, and they made an assumption. They came up with a theory based on something that had happened, and the Harvey Lillard adjustment, saying, gee, there's something that happened in here, so therefore the spine's got to be involved in this, and it is, just not based on the theory that they came up with. That was the only problem. The theory has never been proven. After all these years, the theory of vertebral subluxation as cause, because of nerve root pressure, remains unproven. And yet we were carefully taught, boy. I went to school a long time ago, and we were very carefully taught about vertebral subluxation and nerve root pressure. We got very good at explaining that, put your finger in the hole and let me squeeze it, And it was like, and because we got results based on that theory, we assumed it to be correct. Mm-hmm. And there's where the problem started. And then what happened, there started to be a distortion in the intent of chiropractic. And that's where we're going to start going through all of this step by step. And what it really does, and I want to say this at this particular point, what it really does is it empowers this profession like never before. So here you are, the intent of the webinar is to provide updated principles. Oh dear, updated principles? Wait a minute, principles not supposed to change. Incorrect. Yeah. We'll be talking about this. Based on a current evidence which will enrich and empower the potential of the chiropractic profession. That's the primary goal. The primary goal is to take these binders that have been on the profession saying it's all about spine and it's about pain and pain relief, and release us from that category completely. And, we need to stay in that category, that vitalistic. And I have to talk about this vitalistic in a moment here. I was just laughing the other day. I was watching reading some article about some person that was in dire straits in the hospital. And what were they doing? They were measuring his vital signs to see if he was going to make it. And the only reason that vitalistic has been challenged is because the reductionist group declares it to be unscientific. And the reason they declare it to be unscientific is because it doesn't match their model.
Right.
But it's there in evidence. All you got to do is take a look at an atom. And I love this for a vitalistic approach. You take a look at an atom, it's made of a nucleus and it's made up of electrons, but it's not static. There's an energy that moves electrons around the nucleus. It's a vital energy because without that movement, you don't have an atom. So vitalism is just a basic concept that there's things that maybe at this particular point we can't understand. And so it becomes a vitalistic approach saying, okay, there's an energy involved that we can't explain at this time. Maybe we'll be able to explain it tomorrow.
Right.
But to deny it doesn't work either.
Yeah. And that's kind of been the issue, right? Where we don't have what others would call evidence or proof, we just throw out when there's really no understanding in general at that moment. And I think that was said so clearly. And that's what this series is about, right? We want to create a very slow-moving, 10-minute type videos where we're going to send them out every single day to those that choose to be a part of this knowledge process. We're going to send you a video every day of about 10 minutes of this conversation so it's palatable, so it's something you can listen to or watch as you're going into work and maybe on your way back from work to let it sink in. And we're going to start a conversation. And I'm going to highly recommend that you respond to us as these videos come out and you have questions. I know Dr. Barwell would be more than happy to. I myself would be more than happy to continue this discussion with you. Here's what we're not doing. What we're not doing is trying to start another argument. So I want to make it clear that if our profession loves to fight. It's been fighting since its inception, and I get that. And we kind of feel strange if we're not fighting. So we've got to find something to fight about. But that's not what this is about. So we're not wanting a bunch of people to reach out and yell and judge and condemn. This series is for those people that are wanting to genuinely learn and understand what science is legitimately proving. Now, Dr. Barwell and I are going to go through this introductory basis, and it's going to go as long as it goes. But then we're going to be bringing in Dr. Heidi Hoag, and we're going to be bringing in other people in this circle that have done a lot of work to explain to you why neurological based chiropractic needs to be where the profession is heading. This is not taking it away from its foundation. This is not taking you away from your evidence base. This is bringing all of that information together and bringing it into a path where we can actually start working together and communicating what it is we do to our world in a way that our world will actually start understanding and comply. So, we hope that as we go through this and just a little bit that Dr. Barwell shared on this particular class, we wanted to start pricking that surface of your understanding of why you do what you do, and then give you some foundational information that helps to change that paradigm so that we're not using the spine. This is a great analogy I learned from one of your classes, Doc, that, why we ever use the spine as our logo is very interesting. It's just a skeleton, right? And yes, it's where the nerves come out and all that stuff, but really we're more neurologists than we are structure doctors. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that started this whole thing, and this will be quick because I know I just want to whet their appetite, is when we first met. My first question to you is this going to be about vertebral subluxation, or is this going to be about the power of the chiropractic adjustment? And your answer was?
The adjustment.
The adjustment. I said, then I'm in.
Yep.
And so that's what we need to be focusing on, is how chiropractic changes people's lives.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you, Dr. Barwell. And those of you that are watching this is just a teaser. And it was intended just to be a teaser to give you a little bit of an understanding of what we're going to be doing over the series of these sessions. And I want you to engage. I want you to send this to your colleagues. We're doing it for free. There's no back end. We're not going to try to solicit you for anything. We're just trying to disseminate information. One Chiropractic has made the commitment that we are going to lead the industry on making sure this information is distributed and people start getting challenged on their mindset of what they do in their offices. So I hope you enjoy this series. I hope that you will share it with your colleagues. I hope you'll watch it multiple times. Communicate back with us with your questions. We'll add it to a next or a future class. But please enjoy this process and understand that our goal is to provide you with updated principles based on current evidence, which will enrich and empower the potential of the chiropractic profession. That's our reason for doing this. So we hope you take part in it. We hope you share it with your colleagues, and we love and appreciate you. God bless you until next time.